think we are live. Yes. Okay, guys, go ahead and grab your cup of tea, your favorite beverage. Mine is right over here. It is coffee. Yes. This was very spontaneous. It literally was random. I feel cold after a dear friend sent me a video. Resonated with her, and I completely agree with the material that was being expressed. So I was like, oh, let me add an actual experience to support this, right? So we could digest the information that we're about to talk about, as far as how it looks like to have a safe and healthy, fruitful relationship. Although all relationships tend to be able to gift you the ability or the opportunity to heal childhood traumas, or rather said, relational traumas. What is relational traumas? Relational traumas essentially is having difficulties to communicate with someone you've depended on, right? You, for some reason, don't feel safe to be cared for emotionally, because that's not what you experienced when you were little, right? With your parents or those that were in your life at a very, very early age. And it's not ironic that I was having or telling this story, this very story I'm about to share with you guys to support the content of this video. I was telling this friend just yesterday, and she heard it for the very first time. She's one of my best friends and one of my close friends, and she was in awe when she heard it. So when another friend sent me a video, I felt called that it was time. And then another friend reached out. So anyway, definitely feel the need to share this with everyone for perspective. I do have videos in regards to what I'm going to be speaking of, which is how it looks like to have a safe and healthy relationship. Okay, how that looks like. Another video that I did in the past, it's labeled as a way to identify you are healing childhood traumas. Okay, a way to identify you are healing, or in the journey of healing childhood traumas. And there I talk about the internal work, right? The work that it first has to begin with you. Being opened to listening to yourself, to be present with yourself when you're uncomfortable. And a lot of people don't want to be present with themselves when it's uncomfortable, when you're feeling uncomfortable, when you're experiencing emotions that are uncomfortable. What are we trained to do? We are trained to try to occupy ourselves. Why? To run away from the emotion. Yes, to run away from the emotion. So, we never really choose consciously to be present with our pain or the uncomfortable emotion that is arising at the very moment. So that in and of itself creates a lot of discords and a lot of distortion within you for you to even be having a fruitful and healthy relationship with another person, especially in a romantic one. Okay, so right now in this video, I'm going to be focusing on how it looks like when you do have a relationship, right? Like, how would that look like? Okay, Josie, what steps would I be taking, or can I take, whenever I am in a situation that I'm feeling scared, right? Exposed or vulnerable. What can I do to strengthen the relationship with my significant other? I'll give you an example. But before I do that, I want to introduce myself. For those that don't know me, I'm Josie with Emotional Wisdom. I like that. I like that little effect. But anyway, okay. So, as I said earlier, it really does start with you first. For you to be courageous enough, for you to be present with your uncomfortable emotions first. But what's ironic is that we want our significant other to give us what we're not even giving ourselves, right? To make us feel good and heard and seen and validated and safe, that safe container. But yet we don't give it to ourselves when we're under emotional distress. That's the very first thing you should do, is exercise being safe within your own self, creating that safe container, caretake your uncomfortable emotions, your negative emotions. I do have a video on here. In fact, it was a live in reference to that. I will actually incorporate links of these videos that go hand in hand with this video. So, story time. I have been on a journey of self-love. What does it really mean to have unconditional love and embody that? Of course, we're still always evolving and integrating and learning. As long as we're human, we're always going to be healing, if you will, right? So as I was integrating, I like to call it, right, my fractured aspects, the traumatized aspects inside of me, as I was integrating them, I had the beautiful privilege, beautiful experience to attract my counterpart, to attract someone who was also ready to experience what I was ready to experience, which was be vulnerable with them. I was embracing on another level, on deeper levels, if you will, to be vulnerable with myself. And then what happened in turn, I was able to attract, energetically attract, bring into my reality laws of attraction, laws of manifestation. The mirror was able to reflect what I was giving to myself. That is my current significant other. So it really was an opportunity, and is currently an opportunity to use this relationship to heal relational trauma, to heal childhood traumas, right? To heal connection traumas. I knew this, right? As I attracted my significant other into my reality, I knew, here's the real deal, right? Now, how am I going to act from now on? Am I really going to be able to get emotionally naked to the degree that I've been able to get emotionally vulnerable and raw with myself? And let me tell you, I had a very, very interesting experience. And it's funny because this one I shared with a few people recently, and I didn't realize it was a big deal, you know? So here I am sharing it with you guys. When I was learning with myself, when I was witnessing that my heart was getting more expanded and I was falling in love with my significant other, I noticed that I was feeling a sense of loss of control. And that is a feeling that happens when you have relational traumas, commitment traumas, right? When you feel like you always need to be in control because that is the only way that you are going to feel supposedly safe and secure. So as I was getting more, falling more in love, becoming more vulnerable, for lack of better words, and being more invested in this relationship, there was an incident that occurred where it caused for me to feel threatened. And I noticed that, oh my God, that I noticed that as I was feeling threatened, I said to myself, wow, could be losing control here. If this blows up in my face, I'm going to be very hurt. And I had a choice. I remember specifically being at my sister's home in her bathroom. And I was very emotional. I was crying, I was sobbing. And I was like, holy shit, this experience feels similar as in the past, as when I had felt with another individual. I was like, it's repeating itself, right? I'm scared. So as I was emotional, I was also talking to myself. I said, right here is your opportunity. This fear, this supposed fear, this anxiety that you're experiencing, this sense of loss of power that you're experiencing is an opportunity. What are you going to do thereafter in this experience right now, since it feels very similar to your past experiences, right? And my first thought, I'm not going to lie, was, I think I need to end this. I think this is getting out of hand. True story. Okay? And the second thought was, is this how you're going to address this pattern that keeps on peeking its head, that keeps on arising? Is this how you're going to respond to this pattern that keeps you disconnected to yourself? And I knew the right answer. The right answer indeed was, no, I need to do something different than what I did before. In the past, I would close doors. In the past, I wouldn't allow myself to be emotionally vulnerable because I was afraid that they would take advantage of that vulnerability and use it against me. Yeah. So I was afraid that if I got too vulnerable, that they would use that against me or take me for granted. But I knew, no, I need to respond differently. I need to respond differently the way I have been responding. Yeah. So I decided that I wanted to let him know how I was feeling. Yes, a little tear. I said, I'm gonna let him know. But I cannot let him know over the phone, nor in person. For me, that felt too much, too big it felt to tell him how I was feeling threatened, and what area I felt insecure in our relationship. And I said, wow, Josie, like the proof is in the pudding, right? Like here when you have a real life scenario moment for you to act what you know, you're hesitating, right? I knew the right thing to do was to communicate, but my nervous system, my body, it was foreign for it. My body didn't want to. My body was pushing it away. So it's crazy because although I knew, right, the right thing to do, my body, my somatic body, my emotional body, my nervous system had a different memory. It was a memory of a nope, push away. I can't do this. So, again, I laid out all my options. For sure, I know I'm going to have to open up and talk to him and tell him how I feel and become emotionally vulnerable. My options were the following: do it in person, do it over the phone, text him, or email him. Literally, I laid out my options. And I said, I definitely cannot do it in person. nor can I do it over the phone. Can you believe that? I could not communicate in the beginning of our relationship when I first felt that sense of loss of control. I couldn't tell him. And it was, of course, something that triggered that, but that's another video. So I knew the only way that I would be able to tell him how I felt was text messaging. Although I could have done emailing, but I don't know, I just felt text messaging was faster, right? I can get a response quicker from him instead of the emailing process. So I thought anyway. So I proceeded to text him, being detailed. And he called me right after. I literally was sitting on my sister's bathroom floor, looking at my phone ringing, scared, literally scared of the call. I then text him, I can't pick up the phone. I can't talk to you right now because I could only text. Whatever it is you want to tell me, text me. So cute. He was like, because he expresses himself better via, in person is the best way he expresses himself, but via phone, right? So he then texts me, it's because I let's meet, right? Let's meet in person. I'm not really good in expressing myself through text messaging, you know, and I understood that, you know, I knew that was him, but yet I was too afraid. It was so uncharted territory for me, right? Because I was in this vulnerable place, feeling, you know, really feeling more invested and just being more, he felt just more a part of me. So I remember acknowledging the fact that he delivers his concepts better in person or over the phone. But I said, say anything, text anything. And I remember he texted, I don't recall exactly what he texted, but he texted something brief and it made me feel better. But what I think it's very fascinating here, and it doesn't end there, just want to interject here and mention what it's very interesting is here I am, a grown woman, right, doing a lot of inner work and understanding the power of vulnerability, yet when I was physically positioned again and being emotionally invested and in love with this person, it was like a different story. It's like different. It's easily said than done is really what I'm trying to say. Is we can say all day long, preach of doing something and act that we have, you know, we've embodied that truth, but it's on a different level when you practice with another person, when you literally are given the opportunity to revisit that trauma, to revisit that pattern, and how are you going to respond to it? See, when a trauma, also known as a dysfunctional pattern, that no longer belongs in your awareness, if you will, when it surfaces, right, it's going to be uncomfortable. It's not going to be to the point where you're going to know I know exactly how I'm going to behave, and then what I'm saying here is it's going to be very uncomfortable for you to address it because it's a trauma that was embedded in your body, in your nervous system. So your nervous system is only reacting from that memory of the past. So it's not as easy. Back to the story. Finally, we agreed that we were going to see each other. Definitely it took a week, okay? Just to let you know, we were able to really dive deeper into this that was happening between him and I and what was happening within me. We were able to discuss it in person, I want to say about a week later. It took several days for me to muster the courage to expose myself, right? To here I am, right? And just be vulnerable emotionally. And it's okay, right? I mean, I'm sharing this too for those people that find it very difficult to share how they feel, right? Because even me, who believed right? That, oh, I got it under control. When it surfaced in real time, again, the problem, it wasn't as easy. Yet I did respond differently, that I can say. I didn't just shut the door, right, like I used to, but I responded differently. So clearly, it was an indicator that I was choosing connection. I was choosing integration. I was choosing to give a different story to these beliefs that is dangerous to fall in love. After a week later, right, after we planned to meet in person so we can further discuss what had occurred. Literally, guys, this is the funniest part. I had to take a shot. Yes, I literally had to take a shot before he arrived because I felt anxiety. I felt scared. I had to take a shot. I literally had to feel like, oh my God, let me prepare for this moment. Sure enough, I remember coming in and he sat down and I sat right by him and I was embarrassed. I literally felt exposed. And we spoke. We spoke in detail. And I want to share this. I want you to really, really hold on to this. The moment that you're able to respond differently, the first time this dysfunctional pattern arises, everything shifts. Literally. The moment you're able to respond to that dysfunctional pattern differently, everything shifts. And what do I mean by that? The moment that I was able to tell him in person, because see, that's another thing I understood, that talking to someone in person, the very person, right, that potentially, hurt me, or that I see as a threat, when you're doing things in person, it's on a different level. I mean, you're involving all your senses, and they're right there next to you, feeling your energy. So the moment you respond to that echo of fear in a different way, in this case more lovingly, it's shifting, and it will give you that inner strength and that ability to respond like that again when stuff like this arises. And sure enough, when we had disagreements or we saw things differently, or whenever any misunderstandings would arise, because I want to say we've had misunderstandings, we were able to communicate them. And every time they would occur, it got easier and easier and easier. And now we share everything. I have friends, I have clients that I tell this to, depending on where they're at in their healing journey. I share mine. I share what I've done, how I've approached it with my significant other, because I had commitment trauma. I definitely have relational trauma. So I am mind-boggled and so blessed and so at peace and free to see how I'm able to just openly express with my significant other. And I do want to say something. This is not a one-way street, okay? Your counterpart, your significant other, needs to want to caretake your emotions too. Both of you should want to consider that person or their emotions as your best interest, right? Adopt their emotions as your best interest, right? Be present for them. Caretake their emotions as you would your own emotions. So it's something that you both need to come into this place of agreeing or seeing the value, You have to see the value in that, in declaring that in your relationship, you guys are going to use this relationship as an instrument to heal traumas, relational traumas, commitment traumas, abandonment traumas, rejection traumas, right? So if you guys don't establish that, then you will find yourself running into a wall. You won't feel like the person is reciprocating what you're wanting to create here. My advice to you would be, when you enter into a relationship, create those boundaries. Create those terms, if you will. Lay it out and say and declare that what you're searching for is someone that's willing to create space, that's willing to create a container with you. So when you guys are being vulnerable, it feels safe. And your emotional body and your nervous system can register this safety. And it can have a different experience from the experience that you've had in the past. Right? So with him and I, we've created, we made it known from the very get-go, the kind of relationship we wanted. To be transparent and honest. Regardless if it hurt, if the truth hurt. We wanted that for each other, and we made it known that that was the kind of relationship and friendship, for that matter, we wanted. I want a friend that's willing to be courageous enough to tell me the truth, even if it hurts. Because that then makes, for me, I feel safer in their presence. I feel safer in their presence because they're telling me the truth. So if there's any question about anything, I know where they're coming from, and it gives me the ability to trust them more. We established that. We said we were going to create a safe space. We were both on board in creating that safe space for us to share, for us to be held while we were being vulnerable emotionally, to be heard, to be seen, and to be validated. And so the fact that we were able to establish that from the very beginning, it helped both of us to feel safe as we shared. And then what happened? I and he, both of our nervous system that had different experiences, were able to recalibrate. I was able to give myself, he was also able to give me the missing experience that I needed. Because the kind of memory my body had, my emotional body had, and my nervous system had, was one of danger, danger when you're needing to be vulnerable emotionally. Yes. So my emotional body, as well as his, we would experience danger, danger if we get emotionally vulnerable. So that's why we would get anxiety. We would start getting whatever the symptoms are. Hot flashes. Because I remember I felt super hot and super, it just felt uncomfortable. Well, because my body was reacting from my past experiences. So now that we've been having this fruitful, vulnerable, caring, caretaking relationship, and we see this relationship more than just a romantic. We see this as a healing journey, right? As us both healing each other as we are falling more deeper into love with ourselves and with each other. And that's what's powerful. When someone can look at you and it's with a sense of admiration, and you can look at each other in those eyes of admiration, the mirror is now reflecting that way that you're treating yourself. So it makes it more real in your whole being. You then start believing that you are marvelous, that you are magical, that you are amazing. So what do I advise for those people that want healthy relationships, that want to grow and expand, that want to heal their traumas in relationships? What do I advise? you first set the tone. You first express what you're seeking. And this also goes with friendships. You let that friendship know that you are wanting a type of friendship that you both can be vulnerable in moments when you're feeling uncomfortable. Yes. So when you're feeling some type of way, uncomfortable emotionally, threatened, you want a friendship that's willing to express what they're feeling at that very moment. And that only creates the bond, just makes it that much more stronger. There's no room for assumption. And you're creating healthy state of mind. You're creating a healthy environment, creating a healthy self. So, as I said, I advise you to express that that's what you're searching for, whether it be a romantic relationship, a friendship that is willing to be courageous enough to get vulnerable in moments where emotionally you feel uncomfortable, right? Or in moments where, because sometimes us good people, we tend to sometimes sacrifice how we really feel because we are afraid that we're going to hurt that person's feelings. And at the end of the day, who are you really benefiting? Who did you abandon by not saying what you felt like saying so you won't hurt the other person? You abandoned yourself. You ultimately chose them over you. That's never going to work. That never works. In fact, secretly what starts happening, you just start building that resentment towards the other person. Because you're one moment after another, you're choosing to abandon yourself so you can protect them and their emotional state. It doesn't work. Get courageous. And if you're in a relationship, get courageous to set them down. Tell them that you're seeking for a type of relationship that can nurture, caretake, heal childhood traumas, heal commitment traumas, heal abandonment wounds. That you want a relationship that can do that. Because that's what relationships are for. To trust people. To trust yourself. To let others in. We're all depressed, guys. Many of us are out there running around with a void and depressed because they haven't let people in. They don't let people in. Because they're afraid they're going to be rejected, abandoned, dismissed, and so forth. So we're empty. And we're substituting this emptiness to go off and make millions. We think that by making millions, we think by gaining popularity, we think that by, obtaining the next promotion is going to fill that void of connection, of real, true connection. Why do you think we want connection? We ultimately want to be seen, heard, and validated. We want someone to be present with us in every phase of our life. And it's ironic how we want that, right? We want someone to be present, to be able to hold us, to be able to give us what we need. But we can't even be present with ourselves when we're feeling funky. What do? We want to occupy that feeling through distraction. Let's distract ourselves. What's crazy is that you don't even know you're distracting yourself. You don't even know that you're doing it. It's just like an autopilot. It's all of a sudden something that clicks. Oh, I feel uncomfortable. Let me just do something else. That's why being self-aware is key, because you start looking at everything differently. When you learn how to be self-aware and you start that momentum, you start looking at everything different. And that's another video. But Anyway, I don't want this video to be too long, but I really felt compelled to share and help someone see what it looks like, you know, to start that journey of creating healthy relationships. Healthy relationships are in demand right now. Right now, what we're doing is attracting a counterpart, attracting a person who is in the same vulnerable, wounded state as you, fueling your belief, making it more concrete that by opening up is a threat. So what you tend to do is push them away, and you affirm that belief that you'll never be heard, seen, and validated, that you could not have real connection. That, see, love ends, love hurts. It doesn't have to be like that, guys. I was that person that wanted a relationship but didn't. I was that very person that said, why am I not finding someone that I could experience all these things with? But at the same time, I didn't realize how I wasn't giving them to myself. That's why I wasn't energetically attracting someone that would complement me, that would literally help me in this journey of healing relational trauma. If you want to be seen, heard, and validated, and want a man or a woman to be present with you, I invite you, like I said, open up. Everyone can then understand where they stand. No room for assumptions. And your bond gets that much more stronger and healthier. And you start believing. You will start believe in relationships. You will start believe in friendships. You'll start believing that there's people out there that do want your best interests at heart. You start giving a different memory to your emotional body, your nervous system. And that's the best. When you start able to give your nervous system a different experience. Because you start believing it on a different level, on a deeper level. Go ahead, don't be afraid. Talk to your friends, talk to your boyfriend, talk to your girlfriend. Create a safe space. Caretake their emotions. Don't forget to go back into the videos I've made, how to caretake your negative emotions. Right? And also I made another video that reads how to identify when you're on the journey of healing childhood traumas. Watch those videos so everything can make more sense. Again, this is Josie with Emotional Wisdom. With all the love and full acceptance, Josie.